Got his precision boots on today. Hard. Quick releasing handball. Millimetre perfect. Vanderwerf. Drop punts are generally...
Want my friends to be friends with my other friends, and I want my friends to be friends with my other friends, and I want my friends to be happy.
Tonight's proceedings were intended to begin with a welcome to country, but Elder Willie was ill and unable to attend. Freeplay wishes him well, and in his absence, Parallels will instead begin with an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the lands on which we are meeting today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay respect to elders past and present, and pay my respects to any First Nations game makers who are with us today. I'd like to acknowledge that sovereignty of this land was never ceded. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Welcome to Parallels 2025. I'm one of Freeplay's co-directors, Mads McKenzie. You'll be hearing from our other co-director, Louie later tonight. It's been a big year. One of the big things in my life over 2025 has been my beloved partner Lal getting really into pro wrestling, which has made me self-conscious about doing an introduction where I don't have a big cape and pyrotechnics and loud music to lead me in. Even if I can't do a spinning hammerlock backbreaker, I'll do my best to do this intro justice. And a shout out to Lal whenever they watch the recording. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it tonight, but I love them at least as much as they love AEW. Everyone has had a terrible year. Shout out to having a terrible year. But I don't want to be too much of a broken record about it. The industry sucks, politics sucks, we're living in a really cooked technocracy. It's all kind of shit. I don't believe that the long arc of history naturally bends towards justice, but I do believe that enough people work to bring it around. It can be brought there through a concerted effort. So please keep struggling. If stubbornness and spite are all you've got, you shouldn't be reduced to that, but they are not nothing. If the enemy's win condition is your death, then do not hand them that victory. Survival might not feel like much, but it can be enough. If you're a platform holder or a publisher, a studio owner or involved in government, please defend your people and their work from reprisal and don't throw them to the wolves. I've spoken to people who are willing to dig their heels in to protect the people they platform, and you should have the bravery to do the same. If you have a seat at the table in any conversations around censorship, use that seat responsibly. Games should be free to depict sex and political topics in the same capacity they depict violence. Art cannot change society on its own, but is still a critical tool for fixing what's broken in our world. Don't let such a precious tool get broken too. Free Palestine, protect trans rights, and help claw the world back from the precipice of fascism in whatever places your hands can reach. So, about that art thing. This year, we've got 8 more cool talks from passionate developers and 10 sick games available to play after the show, or before the show, depending when you got in. As always, we've curated a wide range of titles to suit a wide range of tastes. Come with us on an adventure across the scenes of Australia and the Asia Pacific, from Victoria to Queensland and South Australia to Aotearoa, New Zealand and Thailand. Wherever you want to puzzle solve under the watchful eyes of a rude square, farm in a somber flower-strewn landscape, or delve into a literal bureaucratic hellscape, we hope tonight there'll be a game for you. Parallels stands, as ever, as a champion for creative game making in Australia, in our Thursday slot between the corporate and the commercial ends of the week. As we head into our 8 short talks tonight, open your heart to the new and unusual. If it's your first time here, thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoy it. If you're a jaded veteran, we hope this helps rekindle what you love about games and the people who make them, a TV glow amidst the darkness, if you will. Before we hand over to the speakers, I'd like to invite Chad Toprak from Screen Australia, as well as Louie and I's predecessor in the director's seat at Freeplay, up to say a few words about Parallels and Screen Australia's vital support for the event. Take it away, Chad. And with that, I get to swap out of director mode into evil timekeeper mode as we welcome our speakers to the stage. But watch out. First up, we have Josh from Oddlark talking about Noibs.
Hello, hello. Hello, all my friends. I'm so excited to be here. Let's get started. Let's double check that. Oh my God, my mouse is not. Oh, 1 second. Oh yeah, we got it. We got it. No worries. Just took a little second. And this is Grimby. I'm actually going to jump back to my slides because you're not supposed to see that yet. Hey, reminder. Thank you so much. This is what happens when you leave your computer running for a little bit. All right. Hey, hi. Hello, Parallels. I'm Josh. I'm super excited to be here. You may have seen me around or may know me from a few things. Most recently, that snafu just then. But anyway, I'm also studio director and degenerate technical artist at Oddlark. We're a fledgling, get it, it's a bird, small indie studio based here in Melbourne. And I'm just so grateful to be able to work together as this incredible group. So Oddlark specializes in creating quality oddities. And for a little while now, the oddity we've been working on is, well, you saw it, Noibs. And by the way, this is our brand new key art. This is the first time I'm showing it in public, and I'm so excited to show you all. And I want to I want to do a big shout out to Studio Wombat, local animation studio, Felix and Zoe, who meticulously crafted each of these elements by hand and photographed them for us. So every time I see it, I'm just in awe, and I can't believe I get to put it on the big screen. All right, yeah, so the game, that's what you saw before, that you shouldn't have seen before, but we got it, yes, let's jump in. So I'm going to do a live demo of our alpha kind of prototype, and I'll show you what the heck's going on. All right, so Noibs, what the heck? Yes, it's a game that celebrates character creation to a fault. You can pretty much just throw body pieces in a grid-free, plop them on, plop them off. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy what you're doing. Grimby doesn't care. You know, we'll pop a boot on. Look at that. All this is driven by our blob merge creation system, where it just accepts any random shit that you can put together. Let's make him cute and fluffy, hey? Yeah. Oh, Grimby. Oh, and maybe a little hat. There's Grimby. So, yeah, this is Grimby. I love him so much. I hope you love him too. But Grimby, what's your purpose? What are we going to do with Grimby? Well, Grimby actually lives in this little town over here. And these are a bunch of other Noibs that have come to visit from around the universe. These are other player-created characters. This is Jigoib. Hi, Jigoib. Bye. This is Lil Boy. Smoib. And who's that over there? Noibs Ferratu. Amazing. So what are we doing with Noibs, right? We've hopped out of the character creator, which is kind of the core of the game, into this casual, cozy space where Noibs from all around the world and from your friends can come and visit. And Noibs are desperate for approval. And how can they get approval? Well, by fighting each other in 1 versus 1 talent shows. So let's go talk to one of them right now. No. My script says I need to go look at where they're going to go to look at this thing. Hi. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, we can go to a practice battle. Okay, let's go do that. Now we're doing it. Here we go. All right, little boy, let's challenge. So I can challenge these, my creations against other player-created creations. It's kind of like, what's it called? Mr. Potato Head Pokemon. But before kind of heading to the battle, I just kind of want to do a bit of a quick aside to kind of illustrate the approach that we've taken to combining this character creator and a bit of a Pokemon battle crazy thing. So let's just swap back over to our slides and I think so here is probably one of I think is the most insightful documents this century ever produced on creativity. The only trouble is I think it gets at the core issue many people feel when trying to be creative, right? It makes you feel terrible. And trying to create something can feel absolutely terrible if the expectations are insanely high, as you can see in here. And I can tell you, no matter how hard I tried, I mean, I stopped at that drawing, so don't think me. So how can we avoid creative disappointment? Well, the trick is to chill the heck out. So, we change the goal. Just see if you can make an owl. It feels much better to me. But I'm also terrible at chilling out by myself, you probably saw. So we need to make a system that encourages chilling out. And that's what we're kind of trying to do with Noibs. We want to embrace these loose goals, a low complexity and easy to approach creation system, and also just make everything as wobbly as possible. So there's no chance you're going to try and make sure everything was aligned. I know some of you will, whatever. But the goal kind of changes, right? And as we're trying to learn to draw, be creative, improvisation starts to occur. You might draw a slug or a cat from these circles. And before you think about it, the goals kind of shift a bit, and it becomes less about the owl and more about the emergent outcomes. This is also a guide to forcing a pun into your talk that you haven't been able to get out of your head for ever. So thank you and for indulging me. But, you know, this emergent outcomes is where an ideal space that I see for like a creative tool. But the problem is I am a game developer who grew up playing Pokemon, and I cannot stay chill for long. I have to compare things. So I'm gonna get everybody to work out who wins. So who's on Team Slug? Yeah? And Team Cat? It sounds like Slug. It sounds like Slug, right? Yeah. But how can I trust any of you? Your opinion is subjective. How can I know for sure who would win? I'm a game developer, and I need an objective result. And this is the crux of the whole thing. If I am embracing chaos, making a tool that lets players go insane with what they can do, any number of body parts in any position, how can I condense that into something that we can compare? Because, you know, I don't have you all in the game. I wish I could bring you all in. So Noibs attempts to do this by detecting your creative intention and placing your design into fitting categories, like a slimy long slitherer and a furry-tailed quadruped. The benefit of this, we get to reward these surprising results, and you get to play around with it. And okay, enough of the tangent. Let's just see how it works, and like I'll get to the battle finally. I'm so sorry. Let's do it. You're here to see the game, really. All right, Grimby versus Lil Boib. So the way the game works is you want to get approval from the audience. You'll be harvesting it by doing little moves. We can see that the audience is mostly creative, a bit mysterious and simple, and Grimby's already pretty good here, but maybe we can make Grimby a bit more mysterious to really have an advantage. Let's jump in. Looks like the fancy hat gives us mystery. All right, fuck it, let's go. Hey, put that back on. Oh, we're mysterious and cute, gorgeous. It also looks like if I'm lavender and... Ooh, cloudy. Oh, Grimby. Wait, I'm not, that's fine. But I'm ultra good against mysterious. Let's go. All right, so, and I also didn't point out what we've got here. So as we're building our character, like let's add some arms, we're gaining abilities, right? So we just became strong, and now we're ripped. And that's kind of like categorizing that, and we get these abilities that our character can use in the battle. And hopefully our mysterious and tough Grimby will be good. Let's just start the show, and we'll see who wins. Good luck. I believe in you. Come on, Grimby. So this is an auto battler, and they run at the audience. They do their little moves, a little hop, a little twist. They have like shoves, kind of like Pokemon moves, and they're trying to get 100 approval. Looks like Lil Boib is Lil Boib, what are you doing to us? Come on, Grimby. Pay attention, please. Come on, Grimby, please, everybody, please. Come on, Grimby, come on. No! Come on! No. Boo! That's too bad. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to show. So now I've got to go back home and make a game. So you can get your phone out and flood my Discord. I'm only a moderator, so be really nice. But if you do want to play this game, I will release a closed alpha for you. I'm so excited to see you there. Thanks so much for having me, Parallels. Oh, I'm going to get the device. I'm going to keep talking for a second. Yes, go. Do it. No, okay, all right, I'm done. Thank you so much for having me. Bye. Hello.
Little ones, little boys, these ones.
Oh,
I've got 3 hands.
You got 3 hands.
Thank you. There we go. How's it going, everyone? So my name is Tyler. I make games. I've worked for a bunch of studios here around Australia, Mighty Kingdom, at Tantalus South right now. Been lucky to work on a bunch of really cool games, including this one.
And g'day guys, my name's David Ashby. I'm a director, producer, writer, and animator. And along with Cam Rogers, who is somewhere. Oh, Cammy! Yeah. We make Jank Footy.
And there's this guy up here.
Thanks for having us, Mads and Louie. All right. So, yeah, what's that? So, the majority of you here can guess what that is. It's like an old picture of Australian rules football. And, but the thing is, like, most people outside this room and this entire continent have no idea what that is. They probably think it's like a bunch of, I don't know, they're chasing like some sort of bush Malteser. And that's the whole point of our game. Nobody knows what Australian rules football is. So, we all love football. It's a sick game. We love Adelaide as well, but it's a sick game. If you don't know what Aussie rules football is, it's best described as 2 classrooms chasing a ball. Now, over time, there've been a bunch of Australian rules football games that have been made over the years, but there's never like an NBA Jam 16-bit era version of the game. So we decided to make one. But making a retro sports game isn't enough. So we leaned into this key idea about what if there was a way to lampoon what Australian rules meant. So it's easy just to show you guys. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so as Dave was explaining, NBA Jam sort of style of game underpins a lot of what we're doing, but the one little twist we have is that after a player scores a goal, the player on the opposite team has the opportunity to pick a power that sort of mixes up the game. So you see in this instance, our Wombats have picked a power that adds Dad's car to the team. So here comes Dad's car. And we can see a highlight play from Dad's car.
Sick.
So that's Jank. It's basically a love letter to classic arcade sports, but with a modern touch. It's the version that you played in the 90s that you remember in your head, but maybe, well, hopefully a little bit more polished and punchy. So we keep the core simple, engaging. We use these powers to be the difference maker on top. It's how we get that complexity into the game. So it's the idea, and we lean into this as much as possible. And Dave was touching on this. It's that the rules of football are ambiguous. So if the rules of football are ambiguous, you can set the rules, or at least the losing player gets to set a lot of those rules. So we lean into that. It's unapologetically Australian. We lean into the country's quirks, the humour, the sports culture, and as much as possible, trying to be funny. So our powers cover a spectrum. Some are simple, like increasing your speed or weakening your opponent's kicks. Mario Kart is sort of a good North Star for us. If someone plays Mario Kart, if they're good at it, they probably will win, but the players that aren't, they have an opportunity to try and win. They get powers that help them catch up, and they still feel like they're involved at any point. And that's what our power system does. It's a natural rubber banding thing. So while some are like that, some might be like netball. It changes how you move up and down the field. So you get the ball and you can no longer run forward. And then we have some that just make your team tiny and move faster around the field. And then some of my favorites, personally, are the ones that make you think about where you're stepping on the field. So we have portals. Step into a portal, it takes you to a random place across the field. And then there are some that are there for no other reason other than the fact that they're funny, which is that every player becomes a seagull. And I do say that, like, it doesn't have an effect on the game, but it is incredibly confusing trying to work out which seagulls are on your team and which ones are not. So all this is to say that we set out to make Jank Footy with 2 objectives in mind. And that first one, as you might have guessed, is games can be funny. Let's make this funny. I think, like Dave, he brings this massive, rich history from TV and film, and this is his first foray into the game space. And the one thing that was really unique to what he could bring was humor and this comedy, and this particular comedy style that he has. And that was the only
like it was something that only he could bring to this. And so I guess one of the things that want to sort of inspire people as much as possible is this is through any creative medium, not just when you're looking at jumping across media, but what is the thing that you can bring to a game that is unique? What is the thing that only you can bring? And for us, that was definitely Dave's humor.
Yeah, that was so nice, Tyler. Like, look, out of the gates, like, we want audiences to like laugh at our game. I mean, we've like fully embraced the jank, and like it looks completely shit and cheap, and I've made a career out of cheap and shitty things. Like there's Danger 5 and only 23 once. And but look, like coming from screen, I've approached going into the games the same way. So, for instance, I'll share with you like the house party rule. So, basically, yeah, there we go. So, like, basically, the house party rule is something like, like my business partner in film is Dario Russo, and we've sort of adopted this mentality when putting together a project. And so, basically, the house party rule is, remember in like high school where like you'd be like, "Hey, Tyler, I got a house party," and you'd be like, "Who's coming?" And me, and you'd be like, "No." But then you'd be like, "Oh, I've got a house party," and Tyler would be like, "Well, who's coming?" Like 400 people, because that was the best thing to do in 2002. And you'd be like, "That's great." So it's the idea that like, you know, when you start a new idea, just find the right people that are around. And there are so many talented people in South Australia, in this room, in Victoria, across the country, and you just get them on board. Like, I legit just asked a friend, like, "Do you know any devs?" And she's like, "Tyler." And so I just emailed him. And I was like, "Dude, can you?" And he's like, "Yeah, all right." And then, like, Broden Kelly from Donna, like, we've been mates for a couple of years, and we're fans of each other's work. Legit just called him up. "Do you want to do it?" "Yeah, all right." It's that easy. Like you can call a casting agent for these people. Like, it's totally doable. So, you know, you can do it too. And but the other thing as well, it's no secret that the goalposts in entertainment keep shifting, especially with how people consume media and certainly how it's financed. And look, this is going to be polarizing, but in my experience, I've found the screen and games industry to be exactly the same. I've been doing this for 12 months, and I have a pedigree, and I've got the microphone. But like, the thing is, it's not a job, right? Like, this is like pure, like old school. It's the shit, man. Like, you know, when you make like films with your mates back in high school, and it's fun. It's Tyler and Cam, we're just making what we think is funny. It's only a job when you have to try and find coin, right? And that sucks, right? But for example, like, there's more opportunity than you may think. So, for instance, we're partnering up with Umbrella Entertainment, who are one of the largest film companies and distributors in Australia and New Zealand. And serendipitously, they've started their own division, Umbrella Gaming. And so they've taken us on board, and Ari and his team are sick, and they all want to work with you guys. And look, they're just an example of just like, it just happened. There'll be more, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go traditional routes to try and get your coin together, you know what I mean?
So, as Dave's touched on, and hopefully it's what's come through, is that humor is underpinning everything that we think about in this game, and that comes through with the animations, whether it's that you bump into someone and they go flying across the screen, or it's in the sound design, when someone falls into one of those portals in the background, you can hear them scream as they fall into it, or whether it's in the music, which is this like unapologetically massive satire of 80s and 90s arcade music that just sounds insane. So, and yet, sure, there's, you know, within it, we want there to be some sort of challenge layer. You might want to choose a power because it benefits you, but even if you do that, we want to make sure it's funny, or that it has some sort of thing that jumps off the page with it. And I think, you know, these team emblems are a good example of that. They sort of ooze with this comedic charm that I'm talking about that Dave brings. And anyone that's from Adelaide maybe might notice more places than others. But you know, personal favourite Sooners, but you can pick whichever.
Oh yeah, man. So, like, I don't know. Look, this is salad, an idea salad. So when you're on the Switch, obviously you get to, you know, make your own decisions. And Jank Footy is a culmination of all the things we like. We came into like aesthetically come into the project like the idea of like, what if some foreign studio saw like Aussie rules from afar, and they're like, I don't know what that is, but that'll make a great game. And so, like, we've adopted that mentality. So we're like massive fans of like SNK Neo Geo style games, like, because it's high energy, like seizure inducing, you know, sort of stuff. And we're like, dad's jokes, and like as I said with Earthbound, like same sort of thing that they did with the Western culture and made one of the greatest games of all time. And Hem is a Korean artist. Oh, she's so intimidating.
We're gonna show you.
She's based in Adelaide, but she's never worked in games
Look at this
before.
stuff.
And she's made these wonderful cutscenes that happen when you kick a goal. So we gave her a gig because she's hilarious.
You're my best friend.
All right, so we're going to blast through this. The second point of our game. Australia is a really good thing, guys. It's a really good thing. Don't let anyone tell you down. And so we're going to use Bluey as an example. It's no secret that Bluey's the biggest show in the entire world. It's amazing, right? And the good thing about it is people can finally understand us. So anyone who says Australia's shit doesn't travel, that's old news. Connor's perfect dad. He's got a perfect dad. It's bias, his cartoon character, whatever. Anyway, Americans know what a bin is. So make games about quackers. Keep going. Red cordial. Nobody knows what that is.
Not only Australia.
And lastly, G-Day Ramsey Street. Yeah. All right. Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my.
Hello? Are you guys scared of death? Becker argues in the Denial of Death that most human action is a defense mechanism to avoid its inevitability. And we find creative ways to do so. Like getting as rich as humanly possible, burying yourself in work, believing in God, or making art that outlives you. Which path will you take to give your life meaning? That's supposed to be Elon Musk, but our gifts aren't working right now. So just imagine, please. But with the internet, this denial is stronger. Now you can live forever in this digital afterlife. So, hi, I'm Thea, the creative director of REAPRIEVE, and this is Luke, our composer and writer. If a ghost is a manifestation of the past within the present, then isn't the internet haunted?
Ooh. Okay, so we've always sought to make the dead present in the world of the living. We've done this through a myriad of stories, structures, art, but digital technology has delivered this wish with new immediacy and reach. When someone dies, their body is left behind, and their corpse occupies this strange, paradoxical state. It is the person and not the person. We treat the corpse with reverence and unease because of this ambiguity. We dress these corpses up, we hold vigils, we memorialize, close their eyes as if they could still see. And these gestures help us face what's gone, and they make loss tangible. These electric corpses, these digital remains, such as social media profiles, old emails, stored files, they work the same way. They continue to present a face to the world. Their survival is another paradox. For the dead, nothing is gained. They cannot experience this form of afterlife. But for the living, these remains offer continuity. Friends and family can revisit photos, post frozen chats, replay memories. And it changes how death is lived by those who remain. For some, it's a comfort. For others, it's unsettling. It may not be how we imagine immortality, but it's not nothing. Now the boundaries of life and death are even more blurred. We live with ghosts who linger in feeds, and algorithms make the haunting routine. They resurface on this day memories, birthday reminders, suggesting a deceased person to add as a friend. Our previous instinct to make loss tangible has now made it permanent, and we are trapped in a cycle of creating our own ghosts.
So, if I were to drop dead on this stage right now, and you were to scour through my digital remains, this is what you'd find. What kind of ghosts of me could you conjure up? Like a weeb or something? What about people with less of a digital footprint? Their presence wouldn't be as strong. They wouldn't have a ghost. Like Luke has no digital remains, so he'll be just forgotten. Before my friend passed away, I hadn't been able to see him in the flesh for months. For a while, he became like a collection of text messages and Final Fantasy memes. And so sometimes I imagine he's still alive, just away from his phone. In fact, 2 days after his death, his Instagram got hacked and started spamming fake giveaways. I really respect the hustle of the scammer. Now his Instagram, though, is a digital tombstone. Instead of flowers, people leave comments with their own memories of him. We're all contributing to the power of his ghost, and it grows stronger every anniversary and birthday. Yet the version I know is slowly dying, and I can pinpoint exactly when it happened, when I swapped phones and lost all of our messages.
These digital remains complicate grief. Should we preserve them, archive them, or just delete them? Deleting a loved one's account can feel like a second loss, a digital death on top of a physical one. Some people describe the data of the deceased as containing the essence of the dead, small vessels of identity that live on, but now on servers. And now mourning has migrated from graves to private rituals to collective network spaces. Condolences now gather in comment sections, and timelines become informal memorials. It has perpetuated a new kind of communal mourning, where strangers participate in shared grief open to algorithmic resurrections by systems designed for engagement. In this way, death is an ongoing and sometimes unwelcome experience.
In Vobson's article on the information catastrophe, he estimates that assuming a 20% annual growth rate in the digital bits of information we produce, after 350 years from now, the number of bits produced will exceed the number of all atoms on Earth. So some of you guys need to stop live tweeting on Blue Sky. Fortunately for us, digital remains decay too, and preservation is costly. Digital media is prone to bit rot. Server farms can go out of business. Twitter can be bought by an idiot. So unless we're actively maintaining these structures, everything will fall apart. We don't own anything on the internet, not our posts or our messages. At the end of the day, corporations can delete them all. A digital death is as imminent as a physical one. So what if there was a company in charge of processing the dead? REAPRIEVE is an existential narrative adventure game about never-ending, soul-crushing work, the internet and death. You play as a Grim Reaper working a corporate office job, but instead of processing numbers, you process souls, deleting all their memories except for just one. A soul's subconscious becomes a program on your computer you can explore. Their thoughts manifest as annoying pop-ups for you to close, and their memories can be deleted with a single button. To REAPRIEVE, memory is power and control, and is just so much more efficient through cyberspace.
Their workers are already dead. They can't deny or be scared of it, but they're condemned to watch others pass in exchange for reliving their memories. Even if REAPRIEVE saves one memory, their workers remember it all. The life of the dead is placed in the memory of the living, and in our case, the workers. The company exploits this humanity, and even in death, they can't help but find the path that gives them the most meaning. Yearning for lost futures through success, numbing reality with indulgences, and being so utterly obsessed with the past. They are never fully present, and the truth is, they chose this, and we are choosing this as well. Mirage explains this best: whether virtual ghosts are friendly or malignant is ultimately an indictment on those who conjure them. How we treat what's gone says a lot about who we are. This grief, this haunting of the past, this digital afterlife, it's all self-inflicted. So maybe it's about time we should let the dead rest now. Here's a QR code to all of our resources we read for your own rabbit holes to fall into. Keep an eye out for REAPRIEVE at PAX and South by Southwest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
everybody. Another round of applause for 10 p.m. Club. Wow. Everyone's gangster until you get on stage, huh? Yeah, welcome everyone. So, like to give a brief acknowledgement. We would like to recognize that sovereignty was never ceded, and it's important to acknowledge that here in Melbourne in 2025, Indigenous peoples still face systematic and physical aggressive challenges on our path to sovereignty. Shout out to all the mob here tonight.
We also want to show solidarity with the Indigenous peoples globally, especially those still facing ongoing oppression from violent colonial regimes. Free Palestine.
We want to thank everyone who makes Freeplay what it is today. I'm a member of the Freeplay board, and I've been a member of the board for longer than I've been a game maker. Without all of you who share their love of this creative practice and the game-making ecosystem, and without all the mob out there making video games, I might not have ever made the leap. So, who are we? My name's Joel Davison. I'm Dungutty and Gadigal Mob. I do design, programming, and production.
And I'm Sasha Much. I'm an art director, a story artist, and an animator. And last year, we co-founded Wali Studios and got started on our debut title, Wyrmspace Tactics. Thank you. It's a game about a crew of traumatized space pirates committing faster-than-light heists. These heists play out as a tile tactics card game where every card is a crew member's memory. Now, we're very early days in our development of Wyrmspace, and what you'll see tonight is all a part of the prototype we developed with the support of Screen Australia and Vic Screen. Thank you so much, Screen Australia and Vic Screen.
So some of you might be asking, why cards? Why are indies always making cards? None of you are asking that, most of you are indies. Well, I can't talk for all indie developers, but for me, cards are my special interest.
And I'm a fiend for a good tile tactics game.
Yeah, I couldn't hold myself back from making a card game, so we grabbed the opportunity to make it a tile-based tactics card game. Each of the cards in our game are a memory that belongs to yourself or one of your crew members. And each of them are double-sided. The art on each side sort of combines to form the whole memory. On the action side, you've got a card that behaves as you'd expect. It triggers when you play the card. And on the other side, you have the movement, and that describes how you can move throughout the space of our video game.
We want to lean heavily into the spatial element of grid-based tactics games, where positioning and pathfinding is really key to the player. The core of the tactics gameplay is going to be a sense of pushing your luck, with the player only getting to where they want to be when they want to be there with good card play.
Yeah, and you're a little dude, and you're committing heists. When we were ideating on Wyrmspace Tactics and we were deciding what we wanted to make, we were looking for a really rich, non-violent abstraction for our style of gameplay. And we'd landed on heists as something that's exciting and playful, yet dangerous. And it's got a lot of twists and turns and drama.
But by moving away from combat-oriented genre conventions, we forgo the following benefits, such as obvious stakes and context, utilizing familiar language like attack and defend and HP, and setting familiar expectations of reward and gameplay loop, aka kill that guy. Which got us thinking, hey, how many non-combat strategy games are there? So Joel, how about those spreadsheets?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. But first, a quick history lesson. I really wanted to go super in depth into this, but I overestimated how much I can fit into 10 minutes. So I'm going to be yeah, we are, we're going to start with Slay the Spire, And we're going to say that that's sort of like what has set the tone for what digital card games are nowadays. And Tactics Ogre for like tactics games. Yeah, I really wanted to go into like, there's really long lineage that all leads back to wargaming in the 1780s, and prior to that, the invention of chess and Go. But with that out of the way, we get to come to the real reason that I brought you all here tonight, to look at my spreadsheets. So I said to myself, there aren't very many non-combat games in these genres, and that wasn't enough. I needed to go and, in a fit of insanity, do a market analysis of 1,039 Steam games across games tagged as card games, strategy games, and card games that feature a tactical grid. I very manually and subjectively divided all of these games between board game ports, sports games, traditional games, that's mahjong, poker, etc., combat games, and non-combat, which you'll see in these sheets. Sheets is chill. All of this to bring you the following numbers. For card games, just over 9% of card games featured a non-combat focused design, and the median card game performed about as well as the median, median non-combat game performed about as well as the median combat game. For strategy and tactics, that number is lower. There's 4% of the games that we analyzed, and the average combat-focused game, the median combat-focused game performs twice as well as the median non-combat game. For our particular niche, cards featuring a tactical grid, there are only 3 non-combat-focused games. So now I can definitively say there might be like an overrepresentation, although if you're just looking at like, financial metrics, you might want to make a combat game.
And yes, we all know you're all looking at the not safe for work part of the graph, you cheeky buggers. Just a fun fact, 18 not safe for work games appeared in this data set. About half of them were free to play. But in a surprising twist, the premium not safe for work games did not appear to sell as well as their safe for work counterparts.
More fun facts.
Didn't catch that, sorry.
The number of like Balatro fast follows did actually contribute to that card games having a slightly higher representation. While we're on card games, there were a bunch that were like traditional games that had been like iterated on, and I wouldn't say like brought them up out of that category, but like stepped into the other categories. A lot of those, unfortunately, did follow the pattern of folding them into a combat-focused abstraction. On screen is an exception, the Solitaire Conspiracy. I could spend 10 minutes telling you about cool games that I found in this genre analysis. Here are 4 really cool ones.
So there's a lot to say about the prevalence of combat. And that being said, what we want to put forward is this. The genre space is developed within the history that is written by the victors. Game designers design games within the conventions that are set by the societies that they inhabit, or from within the conventions of the genres formed by the same process. Digital games emerged during a time where the societies that were privileged enough to develop games were privileged so due to colonial expansion and empire making. In these societies, military conquest and martial combat are seen as markers of strength and virtue. Here you can see the Civilization V domination victory screen, which I have seen a lot of. Showing my whole ass here, but we love combat games too. Our critical look into it comes from a place of love and wanting to find where our creative practice fits into it as a whole. But it ultimately does make our relationship to them so complicated.
When Sasha and I started Wali Studios, we agreed that we wanted to keep making games for years to come. And we want to make games that reflect our values. This leads to the fantastic tension between commercial viability and expression, a tension I'm sure a lot of people in this room are familiar with. We're a unique organization, so how we're going to express ourselves through game making is going to be unique. But how weird is too weird? And how much of shaving off the rough edges for the market destroys the heart of our game?
We've all made commercial projects in tech, in animation, in games, in music, and writing. Despite working in places that most certainly have treated us with kindness and care, a lot of us have also had to work jobs that ask us to put aside our morals and values in order to make a living doing the thing we most enjoy. And it truly leaves you with a strange relationship towards your craft. I'm sure many of you in the room have experienced something similar about your passion and its relationship to your worth in reference to how productive you are for commercial work. So, what did we do still filling that pull and those passions? Well, yes, we made an indie game studio and drafted our ragtag crew of space pirates who do what they do best. Pull heights, make games. So we hope you follow these traumatized game devs, these traumatized space pirates, and uncover their stories through their memories, their cards, where you learn about their past, why they are so good at what they do, why they left the spaces they learned how to be as good as they are, and how they find solace in doing the thing they love to do together. Make games. Pull heists.
So that's us. We're Wali Studios, QR code. We're going to get craned off the stage. Thank you everyone for...
Thank you.
Thank you, Mads and Louie. Thank you everyone who's working on Freeplay tonight. And I hope you all have an amazing evening.
You got out of it this time, but I will claim more victims. We have a 20-minute intermission now, and then we'll be back with more games. Thank you very much.
Now, while everyone is milling around and finding their way back to their seats, I want to go through some of the games that you can play right now. Well, actually, no, not right now, but right this evening. I'll give it a minute. It's always a weird spot. All right, so hopefully either before or during the intermission, you've noticed the video games. And I wanted to run through the wonderful games we have playable this evening. If you can give a shout out to Canvas Street by gracing one of the custom free play cabinets. We have, well, we've already been introduced to Wyrmspace Tactics, but that's playable this evening. I could also get a round of applause for Isopod by fan favorites S-Bug Games. And over from New Zealand, we have Rollick and Roll by Crayonics. There's also a new work in progress called Blackcurrant Pianto. And then moving from the clear cabinets over to the layered grass-covered octagon thing in the middle, where we have Dogpile by Foot. on the little CRT that my mate Alex lent me, we have Cast and Chill by Wombat Brawler. And on the other side, we've got, of course, Pro Jank Footy. And then over on the big CRT that is way too heavy, we have No Static by T. Kenning. And we have a surprise this straight after the talks. The screen behind me will turn into an interactive game. And you're welcome for the rest of the evening to come up and play with the controller down here. Bootleg Comics, who did our amazing visual identity this year, has provided us with a bunch of assets, and Connor Bet has turned them into a video game, and we're going to see how it goes. And if you've seen the assets, some of the assets for the game have been gracing the screens out the front. So if you've delighted in the weirdly sexual Mario or the decapitated John from Garfield, then just stay tuned. It's all coming your way. While I'm up here, I will also do some obligatory thanks. Of course, I do the hardware stuff. Mads does the talkie, and together we make Parallels. So I would really like to thank Mads for being the other half of this operation. I get the big TV, and you get the big stick. I'd also like to thank Freeplay as just an ambiguous org, but also more specifically the current board for being wonderful. And they are supportive in many, many ways. So I would really like to thank everyone who helps us create this. Thanks, board. But of course, we wouldn't be able to do this without money. So thank you to the support, the very tangible support that we get from Screen Australia, which is just fantastic. And another shout out to Creative Victoria, because as at Freeplay, we love to have concession half price for all our events for anyone who needs it, no questions asked. And Creative Victoria were happy to jump on and help us do that without it ruining our budget. So thank you very much for Creative Victoria for understanding and helping support us all. Also, big ups to Town Hall for letting us back in, and just now they know what we do. So it was so much smoother this year, and they're really lovely to work with. They took all our feedback from last year, and we've just been able to make this much smoother, and I hope a more streamlined, enjoyable experience. We'll find out. But thank you, Town Hall. You're actually very, very good at this. And while we've got our hands together, a big one for Terry and Ryan from Paper House, who are out there selling merch, because they can hear us, right? But yeah, big round of applause for Paper House, please. What else? Molly Rose helped us give some variety to the beer lineup tonight. They're a wonderful little brewery who are doing a great event this weekend, I think, but they're up in Fitzroy at Collingwood Way, so go check them out. And then finally, I'd just like to thank, personally, I'd like to thank my family, because anyone who was here this afternoon setting up with me would have seen my dad, who comes in every year and helps us put all this physical stuff together. And not many dads do that, and he's fantastic. Thanks, Dad. And of course, the thanks to my other family, like my mum, who supports him being here, and my wife, who supports me being here. Thanks, Katie. And my daughter, Nancy, because she's adorable. That's all we got from me. My name's Louie, by the way. I didn't say it before. I work here. But But yeah, we'll be back in a bit. But I'm going to pass back to the wonderful speakers, and I'm going to pass the mic back to Tana.
All right. Talofa Lava Gamers, how are we tonight? Woo! All right, I am Tana, thanks for the introduction. And this is my game, Shapesender Deluxe. Oh, we got audio, fuck yeah. All right, so you might know me, I talked about mini motorways a bunch because I worked on it at the Dinosaur Polo Club. Yeah, shout outs in the back. And now I'm doing this full time with my studio Dead Teapot, and I'm not alone. I've got amazing talent. I've got Poppy Durad making everything look beautiful. The sounds you can hear up the front are from Finn Mitchell-Anion, and Seth Davidson is really helping bring Sandy to life. And with that, let's meet Sandy. All right, this is our companion for the talk. This is Sandy. Everyone say hi, Sandy. So, this game's pretty sick, honestly. And there's a lot I could talk about, but the one thing I wanted to talk about specifically is creativity in puzzle games and how we get our players to have creative expression. Because puzzle games, they're not really often known for like creativity. They're more known for this like aha moment when you like successfully work out some trick or solution and then you feel smart about it. Or like you optimize something by 1% and you're like, fuck yeah. But because a lot of those solutions, you often end up moving towards some global maxima, you don't really have much room for creative expression. And so what I'm trying to do with Shapesender Deluxe is have that aha moment, but have it be a creative, fun journey on the way there. So let's start with a tutorial. So, how do we play Shapesender Deluxe? You send the shapes down there, Deluxe. So these are your shapes, these are your tools. So to get through this one, we have to like use a portal. We can put that here, move it down a little, link it up with another one, angle that this way. Oop, sorry. And then go away. We can use a magnet, we can pull it downwards. Doesn't quite hit the mark, so we can chuck in a block, and that will let gravity do the rest. Fuck yeah! Video games! So, one of the things I wanted to talk about specifically is how we make the game safe to experiment in. How do you make a game that's safe to experiment in? Asks Sandy. Very helpful. And there's a couple of different parts. Firstly, there's no lost state. You can't lose Shapesender Deluxe, which is pretty cool. But it means more than just not losing. It also means you can't enter like a soft lock or an unwinnable state where you might have to undo a move or restart the whole puzzle. There's also no timer. You can play for as long as you want. I can just let this running. The stars sound funny when they shatter. The only state really is you haven't won yet. Secondly, there's one phase. So when I talk about phase, other physics puzzle games often have this thing where like there's a, what have I called it? Like a planning phase and then an execution phase. But what I did is I just made them the same phase. So having like the B1 phase means there's a really tiny iteration time. The amount of time it takes for you to try something out and see what happens is really, really short. And there's no such thing as a failed plan, so you never feel that something didn't quite go right. And thirdly, we don't really constrain the player with how many things they can use. If I just want like 1 million magnets, I can just do that. I'm constrained by space a little bit. And it means that like any solution is kind of valid. I can come in here and I can just solve this exclusively using magnets, and that's cool. So let's try and solve this one. This is basically the Flappy Bird level, I guess. Oh fuck. Live demos, am I right? Oh, shit. Fuck. Don't worry, we can do it. We got this. If we put this here, it's not quite hitting it. If we just adjust this, come on. Oh, no. Okay, maybe another magnet. Just add magnets, am I right? Please. Yeah! Video games. Oh god, what's he saying? We broke 79 stars? Fuck you. This fucking guy. You know what, whatever, next level. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about was open-ended solutions. So, if we go onto this level, oh, wow, open-ended solutions. So, this kind of continues on from that previous point I was talking about. And all these levels can be solved in lots of different ways. So in this one, let's just give it a go. What I'm thinking is we get these portals down here, and we can get a lock in for this. If we have multiple sets of portals, we can kind of skip our way down the bottom here. Link these up, chuck that in there. Let's put a spring, see if that works. Almost. Use a fan, blow it in. I bet you're all like, I could do this better. Come up, fight me. Oh, we're so back. Look at that. Wow. Thank you, Cindy. This is great. And like, having these open-ended solutions is really cool because it makes players feel that they have a sense of ownership over their attempt. Like if you're playing like Tears of the Kingdom or Dishonored, like you're going through and you're trying to solve a puzzle and you uncover it and it feels like yours. You know, as the designer, it's not. We intended them to find that. But if it feels like they found it on their own, that's the goal. We also really lean into this with like GIF recording, so players can like, if they've got a solution that's funny or stupid or crazy, but it kind of works, then they can record it and share it with their friends. And yeah, okay, that's a great idea, Cindy. Let's talk about creativity and constraints. So often when you talk about creativity, you also talk about constraints because creativity can often come from constraints. And that's because when you've got anything you could possibly do, narrowing the infinite potential down to a couple of things sometimes really helps. But that kind of feels like the antithesis of everything I just talked about. So my plan is to just play both sides and introduce this mechanic. So this just deletes the entire solution we came up with. And I think that's cool for a bunch of reasons. I don't have enough time to go into all of them, but here's some of them. So if we remove the first attempt that a player had, it forces them to explore the many open solutions that we've provided in this level. And it also introduces space as a constraint. So even though you can use as many magnets as you want, eventually that will affect how you solve the puzzle later. This was inspired by Scribblenauts, where there's this mode where once you've beaten the game, you have to solve each puzzle multiple times, but never using the same word, and I think that's cool as fuck. So yeah, let's try and solve this one. Now that we can't go use that portal strat, we kind of have to do something else. Just stop being in the way, oh my god. So let's go over the top, we'll blow it up with a fan, and then push it down to the side, see if it drops, and not quite. So if we accelerate it down with a magnet instead, maybe another fan. Come on, we got this. Yeah! Video games. And so another thing I like about puzzle games is when you can have these constraints that are like, you've got the level, but it's like, here's a twist, and you have to do something different. But I kind of wanted to have a different approach to that. I wanted players to have an intrinsic motivation for doing something stupid or different, rather than trying to tick a box. And that is where Sandy comes in. So in this level, you can see Sandy's like, it's impossible to do this without magnets. And I originally put this in because I wanted players to really have learned how to use magnets by now, hopefully. But anyone who's written a tutorial will know that that's not always how that works. And what I found playtesting is that players took this statement personally, and they made it their absolute mission to solve this without using a single magnet. And so what I learned is that a powerful motivator for intrinsic constraints, and therefore creativity, is spite. So CINNADEV basically exists as like a vessel for the player's spite. But what I also learned is that players just love to be recognized for their creativity. Oh my god, stop being in the way. But like you can see, you can just solve this. No magnets, who needs them? We got it. And so what I did is I didn't like make it even harder to solve without magnets. I just rewarded players for solving it without magnets because I thought it would be funny. But yeah, this is kind of one of the biggest things I've learned recently is just recognize players for doing stupid shit and they'll love it. And in this way, I don't like, by having these two paths, they can either have learned magnets and they'll get one dialogue tree, and they can spite CINNADEV and they get a different dialogue tree. And I think that's fun. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, okay, go away. Next level. Yeah, that's kind of everything I had to talk about today. Oh, shit. Quick recap. Creativity comes from open-ended solutions. You can do lots of different things. Have a quick iteration time means that you can experiment quickly in a risk-free environment with interesting constraints and a sense of ownership of your solutions, and trying to prove CINNADEV wrong. And creativity is beautiful and cool, and let's just call it there.
Hi. Oh my gosh, hi. Which button does this do? That's the one. Hi, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Heidi. I am 23 years old, and I'm a game developer from Adelaide. I'm not even the only speaker here tonight from Adelaide, which that's not really like meant to happen. We're kind of meant to be a rare breed. But congrats to David and Tyler for their amazing and hilarious talk. I really loved that. It's so cool to see other South Australian game developers here. It was really fun to hear about like going to house parties in 2002 because I didn't get invited to any of those because I was really busy being born. And this is my game Delphinium, which I've been making for the last 5 years. And when I started making this presentation, I kind of wanted to figure out when exactly I started making this game. So I went back through some old files, and the first instance I could find of working on the game were these sprites from November of 2020. And that's really cute because that means that basically the second I graduated high school, I started making this game. I was like, oh, I spent the last 5 years in hell. How about the next 5 as well? But that wasn't my thought at the time because I was 18 and I didn't think this game would take me 5 years to make. I thought it was going to take 1 month. I'm not great at maths, but I did some numbers, and I was wrong. But before I go any further, let me actually tell you about my game a little bit. So, Delphinium is a story-driven farming sim, and then I get stuck. Because I found that I'm really, really bad at describing my game. Every time someone asks me what my game is about, I tell them something completely different. I don't have a solid, punchy one-liner tag or even a short pitch. I've had 5 years to figure it out, and I'm still stuck. This is kind of because Delphinium has changed so much over the years. The original idea for the game was that it was going to be a short, story-centric game that took place over 7 days. It would have some farming sim elements, like growing flowers and maybe some cooking, and there was going to be some characters. There was going to be just 2 characters, and they were both women, and they were in love with each other. Yeah, thank you. Did you guys know? Thank you, thank you. Yesterday, October 8th, that was International Lesbian Day. And I didn't find that out until today, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was at the Agdas? I should have been at the club. What's this? Lame as hell. No, I love the Agdas. That was awesome. Let's get back. Original concept for my game. Yuri, short game. That's a perfect game right there. That's a great video game. I would love to play that game. And the good news is that Delphinium still has like all of this, and the really bad news is that it has like a lot of other stuff as well. Like what? I worked on Delphinium for the first 3 years, mostly by myself, and the problem about working on a game on your own is that there isn't really anyone to like tell you not to add stuff to the game. I'm just like, oh, I have a new feature for it. Should I add that? And then I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I didn't have the clearest vision for what the game was going to be, so when I started it, it was just some vague farming mechanics and story beats. And farming sims are kind of a big genre, and there's a lot that comes with being a farming sim, and this is how Delphinium originally started blowing up its scope. There was the cycle of adding something to the game because it was a farming sim, and then adding something else to the game to support that new feature. For example, at some point, I added a store to the game because it was a farming sim, and you need to be able to buy and sell items in a farming sim. But this was kind of a problem because at this point my game only had 2 characters, and I was like, oh, who runs this place? And it kind of made me realize that most farming sims take place in a little community with a bunch of people there to actually be a community and run the place. So over 2 years into Delphinium's development, I added 8 more characters to the game. And that added like at least 3 years to the development schedule, and that took like 20 years off my lifespan. Awesome. And the logic of adding stuff to the game because it's a farming sim is kind of even sillier in hindsight, because I don't even consider farming to be like the most important part of the game. Actually, 0 of my playtesters voted farming as an enjoyable part of the game. Thanks, guys. What the hell? When it comes to its structure, Delphinium is kind of different to other farming games. Instead of an endless game that spans multiple seasons and calendar years, its story takes place over just more than a month. And once the story has concluded, the game is over. My focus has always been more on the narrative and characters of the game, and the day-to-day gameplay of farming, cooking, fishing, and crafting exists more to break up the story beats. And these gameplay elements do help further the narrative. You get to learn more about the world around you, and especially the people around you, by interacting with them in their day-to-day lives. The farming sim half of Delphinium isn't the main focus, but it is still an essential part of the puzzle. As I reflect on it, even though I've made fun of my haphazard design choices, I'm really happy with the formula I've ended up with. It's not flawless, but I do hope that a lot of people will find joy in it. Okay, so are you ever making a game and like halfway through, or like you've finished it and you've sent the first draft of your version you've sent the first draft of your game to Mads last week because that was when the deadline for the game was, and then on the weekend you suddenly had a way better idea for what you should do for it, and so then you kind of just pivot out of nowhere into a different idea. Yeah, so this happened with my presentation. I decided to change the second half of it, and it was because of this toast.
My mom made this toast for me on Sunday. And yes, can we get a round of applause for my mom first and foremost? Yeah! Yeah! She made me toast because I was stressed. I had pulled an all-nighter, queuing posts up for my socials while I was going to be away this week, and I was realizing just how much I had to do to get ready for Games Week. I'd never done Games Week before. I was terrified. I was so scared to be giving this presentation today. And I went to my mom about it, and I cried, and she made me some toast. And she told me, I figured it's all I can do to make sure you eat and drink well so you'll feel better. And that's just one gesture of support from her, one of thousands, over the last 23 years. When I was 16, I had my first coding class, and I was the only girl, and I was super insecure because I knew nothing about coding, and it was my dad that helped me with the code for my first assignment, and the teacher was so impressed by the code that he said he wanted to print it out and frame it, and that was what gave me the confidence and motivation to keep on learning how to code. My dad was the one who got me into digital art. He's the one that got me into so many books and games and shows that have become creative inspirations from me now. I do all the art, programming, writing, and design for Delphinium. This isn't the point you're meant to clap at. I do all the art, programming, writing, and design for Delphinium, and a lot of people call me a solo dev because of it, which is objectively wrong, but it's not only wrong in the sense that I'm not the only one on the project, but it's also wrong in the sense that this game wouldn't have been possible without the support from other people, even if they haven't worked on the project directly. We're back to, this was really last-minute changes. So some of Delphinium's biggest contributors, other than my parents, who are, to this day, the biggest investors in the game, some of Delphinium's biggest contributors include my friends who came with me to Melbourne this week, my friends back home who rallied last week at the last second to help me playtest the game before I submitted a build for GCAP, and everyone who has ever tested or commented on the game in one way or another. And of course, it would have been impossible without funding support from Screen Australia and fellow team members Hannah Ewart and Starling Tan. Without the support from all of these people, this game never would have been possible. With all of that in mind, I want to try again to tell you about my game. Delphinium is a game about connection. Its most prominent feature is its connections map. This charts links between different characters, locations, concepts, and moments. Set in a world suffering in the aftermath of a failed revolution, many people find themselves with dwindling hope for their futures. Using the connections map, you navigate a story about supporting one another through adversity and relying on the connections you have with those around you to keep moving forwards. This is a game about supporting one another because it's a game that wouldn't have been possible without the way that other people have supported me. And if that sounds like a game you'd like to play, I'm sorry to end on this note, but we do have a Kickstarter coming up later this month. Thank you.
Hello. 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 This talk is about Key Fairy. Hand-drawn, folkloric, pacifist bullet hell. I'm Tex. I make games. I'm interested in exploring the relationship between players and artists and novel interactions.
I'm Mara. I am normal, I promise. I want to build connections through art, and I believe that play is essential to being alive. So, we want to be explorative. We want to make games that ask questions about games, about players, and about the world in general. And a good place to start is by asking questions of our own.
So let's ask some questions, right? What if you made a bullet hell where you can't attack? Or
what if you could hand draw a video game?
what happens? We don't know. Part of the point of developing it is that you find out through the process. You're exploring through the development. So one thing you learn, the first thing you learn, is that it's a terrible idea. Pacifisting a bullet hell is really hard. It's hard because of all the reasons that Joel was saying earlier. It's hard because you lose clarity of states. It's hard because you reduce the amount of complexity of the gameplay. And it's hard because the monsters stick around, which is just a pain in the ass.
The second thing you learn is hand drawing video games is also hard. Turns out that video games aren't made of paper. Turns out that ink can't be erased and it's really hard to redo things. Turns out that black and white is not a lot of colors to work with.
You'll hear a voice that tells you to give up on your dreams, but also just a little bit give up, right? Why don't you just reskin the attack into like a love gun? Why don't you just hand draw it and then redraw it digitally? Why don't you just add in a little bit of color? That can't be too hard.
But you will fight and die on these hills. You don't have to change what is unique. Instead, everything else in the game can be changed. Everything can revolve around that. You're creating problems for yourself, but problems can be solved.
So let's solve some problems, right? Interactive depth. You lose a bit of the complexity if you take away the ability to attack. But the core of bullet hells isn't actually attacking, it's just positioning. It's frenetic positioning. Most of the time you're just holding down the attack button anyway. So you just focus on movement. Make the game about movement. Give the player a grappling hook and floaty, dancey movement. Make the monsters drop stars, so you've got to get really close to them. And then you've got a game about dancing around monsters to calm them down.
Readability. Color, surprise, is really useful. When you're taking away an element of your visual design, you are removing information that the player could have. You have to have something to refill that role. Contrast and shape. Shape language is really important. You can make things readable at a glance just via their silhouette. This is really important for accessibility as well. Light and dark replaces color. Solid black or white creates negative space. And visual noise creates full space, and you can use those to create contrast, which, like we're doing, is readability in the game.
Win-loss clarity. This is a big thing that Joel was talking about. It's hard to understand the different states of the game. Yeah, in bullet hells especially, you want to know when you're safe, you want to know when it's dangerous. But that's just vibes, right? It's just the player experience. And you can just go hard on the music and the visual effects. And then you can just embrace the ambiguity as well, right? You're this tiny little creature in the forest. You shouldn't know if you're safe at all times.
Hand animation is hard, turns out. Doing things frame by frame on paper takes a lot of work. You can't test it until it's done. You can't change it when it's done without doing it again. So you can make little dolls. You can get your character, you can cut it up into tiny little pieces and just shove it together and wiggle it around. You can also get static images and kind of just wiggle them about and warp them using shaders. And both of these things make the world feel unreal. It feels like a storybook that you're exploring, and that surrealness then combines with the liveliness and vibrance that you have to create a really unique experience.
Destruction serves a role in games, as well as as well as being derived from like centuries of conqueror heroism, and like as well as coming from wargamings leading into role-playing games. It's just useful if the monsters don't have to stick around. It's less stuff for you to keep track of. It's hard to deal with it. Just give them something to say. Give them dialogue. Make them NPCs, and then you've got little characters who you're helping. If the monsters stick around, you're not defeating monsters. You're helping your community. The folk are scared and they're lost, but they're still people who you can help.
Ink is permanent. You can't like erase ink, right? You can't take it back. And starting again takes a lot of time. So you suddenly have a lot of freedom. When you can't undo what you've done and you have to stick with what you're doing, then you can't start to learn to create without second guesses. Anything can become part of your game. The random sketches that you're doing, the ideas you've got, the little lost thoughts, burrowed away in random sketchbooks, even trees that you find and rocks under your bed, they can all become part of what you're doing because you're divorced from having to do things perfectly.
Can I also just say, those hands are Mara's hands.
Make things that are bad to make things that are good. The roughness is the point. Being fast and loose and rough and sketchy means that you can produce a lot of work quickly. But it also means that the craft of what you're doing becomes visible. People can see the seams. It reminds them that what they're doing, what they're interacting with, was made by real people. There's an effort there that they're seeing in just interacting with it. The craft itself is part of the experience, and it makes the game feel personal and relatable.
In the absence of violence, your role is changed. You're a little creature in a big forest. You're evading gods, and you're whispering with the woods folk, and you're spreading whimsy. The game can be about exploration without colonization, about building community in the darkness.
The point is experimentation, but the result is that whatever you make will be something new and something unique.
So that's Key Fairy. That's how we've tried to approach developing Key Fairy, exploratively. Thank you for listening.
Hello, hello, hello. Wow, there's a lot of people. This is more than a GCAV. Hello, my name is Tanat, and today I'm going to give a talk about breaking down how I broke down while making a minigame. All right, where is this? This is the thing. Okay, cool. All right, there's a lot in this talk, and I only have 10 minutes, and I want to show you gameplay footage at the end, and that means I have to go really fast. I am sorry. I know I speak in a... I know I speak in a funny accent because I'm not from here, but a note that this talk will have the F slur 3 times. All right, that means no intro for me. I promise you'll find out who I am as the talk goes on. But intro about the game. So the game is called Building Relationships. It's an exploration dating sim. Secretly, though, it's a narrative adventure, and it's told through a series of dates. Each date has a minigame that kind of amps up that experience, and it builds up to like a fun, suggestive, and very sad experience. Yeah, so this talk is about the process. It's going from ideation to breakdown to completion. And specifically, we'll be talking about date number 2. And just for a little bit more context, date number 1 is this like picnic date plus optional degradation. I showed the whole, like a little bit more at GCAP this week, but I don't have time. So here's a quick recap. Why is it not working? Okay, here we go. the idea is a picnic date, right? And so you're making a sandwich. But in this universe, you're all buildings. So instead of making real food, you're making furniture. So it's like you're building IKEA furniture, a fun little mini game. And it's followed by, enjoying the sandwich, which is, you're feeding the sandwich to your date. Which is kind of like, moving the furniture into a house. We've all done that. And it gets a little bit spicy if you're into it. Yeah. So if date number 1 is code for sex, what comes after sex? As a cis man in my 20s, I do not know. But setting requirements, right? Game design. Let's match this date number 1. So we think about thematically. It has to match. So it has to be an IRL date activity of some kind. It has to be mechanically meaningful. So the first one, move the world building along. The second one, maybe we'll move the narrative instead. And the intensity ramp is to commit to the bit. Doesn't have to be sexy. It is fun to be sexy, but it should essentially feel real for the NPCs involved. Here's a rejected idea. For those who don't know, sandblasting is a real thing you do to walls to give texture or to get rid of graffiti. You can do water blasting or sand blasting, and it sounds like finger blasting. Which, when you think about Power Wash Sim, it makes so much sense. There's so much room to play there. But I really don't think the game needs more sex, which is, aww. Thank you. All right, so instead, let's do a serenade, a musical moment, because after all, I am a faggot. And this game is for faggots. All right, so let's break down some inspirations. Here's some gameplay inspiration. And you'll notice, bottom right, Stray Gods, Australian game. Let's go. And the top right, that's not a video game. That is a show on Dropout. That is an improvised musical. And it really stuck with me. And really, in reality, I just want to do improv musical theater. So, yikes. Let's, idea rundown, right? Here's a pitch. What if it's a musical where you send you and your state sings a song? Play. No real voice singing, okay? No, just instruments to mimic voice and lyrics on screen to kind of move the narrative along. So it's that seems like a more manageable scope. No, it wasn't. Turns out it's hard. Lyrics writing is different from dialogue writing. Who knew? And text, animation, localization. There's a lot of details here. Chinese, a game is localized in 8 languages, and this is a lot of work. UI. We'll skip through this. We don't have time. By the way, shout out to Gina. Gina's a composer in this game, and it's been a wonderful collaborator. Yeah, woo for Gina. So much of the minigame is driven by music, and this has been a very collaborative experience. It's such a this whole feature has been such a vague minigame is such a vague thing to figure out. So I'm very thankful to work with someone who's patient and collaborative. When you work on a narrative game, the scope is hard to define. So it's always nice to work with someone who can be that collaborative. All right, we talked about improv earlier. I kind of skipped over it, but let's talk about what this what could be this improv thing. So I had this idea, right? What if you let think of the keyboard auto-complete thing. Let me just press through it. And okay, we could do a Markov chain, right? There's some theoretically could work, but okay, it could work. I didn't have the audience boo. I went ahead and I did it because listen, I am delusional. right, so let's zoom out. How do we build up towards improv? Okay, we think about some grounded reference, right? Karaoke, that's a good reference. Iconic, kitschy, camera angles. Song structure like a pop song. Here's some details. I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna skip ahead. I thought about some structure, right? This makes sense, right? We ramp up towards improv, right? Starting from just singing regularly, harmonies, duets, maybe that makes sense. Think about gameplay requirements, right? It's a narrative adventure, this is gameplay. I thought about, okay, it's a rhythm game, but it can't be like a skill test. It has to be light enough for lyrics to kind of shine through. And it still has to empower you as the lead performer in the musical, kind of. I thought about, ooh, what if we do choices as a key narrative agency? And ooh, that let's break that down a little bit. The UI to the right, it's ooh, yeah. Mainly because you look at that and what is going on? And for a couple months, I looked at it and I was like, what am I doing? What is going on? It's very hard to read what is going on. The idea is I want players to make choices, but it's hard to understand from a glance, and that was giving me massive red flags. Rhythm gameplay demands concentration, and a meaningful narrative also demands concentration. But how do you onboard choice making and song? At some point, I just couldn't make any more progress, and at some point, I couldn't get myself to do anything. So yeah, it turns out I have anxiety. Yeah. Thank you. Put another way, it's you're prone to spiraling when I'm overwhelmed. And I got overwhelmed trying to solve this. And I'm going to skip over all this a little bit. Over time, I got things a little bit more clear, gave myself a little bit more space. They're all emotions I felt before in a different context. And I never thought that I was allowed to be anxious over a video game, even though it's my entire livelihood. But our brains are silly that way. Took some time, took some space, wrote out the lyrics just let me just try this. Here's a little bit of the process. And a week later, I sent it over to Gina. And Gina, this is the music she created. So I'm running a little bit out of time, so I will have to skip this middle section, but we'll get to the last video. So okay. So I cut out the improv mark, whatever that was. I've never done musical improv. Why would I try to do it in a game? So it's time to end on something I really knew, something I'm familiar with. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've never shown any of this anywhere, so if people didn't share, I would have cut this from the game. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I should have given the giant stick to Tanat. I think he can find a better use for it probably. So that's it for the show this year. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thanks. We've got the food's out, the bar's back open, stuff's here till roughly midnight, so be very kind to each other. We're really just so thankful everyone came out. We're just really happy to see everyone. But yeah, thanks everyone for just being so supportive of Freeplay. We really, we're going through lots. It's a year, right? And they just keep coming. So we just really want you all to realize that, take a moment to just be in this space with each other. Because, the speakers, can we get another big thing for speakers? I really wonder what the top of that pole was attached to. But yeah, I think every year this whole everyone is so phenomenal, and the fact that people take the middle of such an incredibly busy week, and when we all have things to do tomorrow, but the fact that you're all here and supporting this kind of event means a huge amount, and I just want everyone to kind of take a second and realize that, because who knows what happens next year? Who knows what anything's like next year? And no matter what, I think just be present in this community around the people that you love and you cherish, and let everyone's little personal stories in this room just let it out to the people around you. Not necessarily tonight, but just when you find the time. But go make more events, go make more parties, go hang out with friends more, and go just rekindle communities, because we need that quite a lot right now. So be present, be good to each other, and make cool shit.
Yeah, it's finger hearts.
All done?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. On that note, one very important person I forgot to thank. Thank you to my friend Dan Knight from Rose Chong's Costumes on Gertrude Street, who gave me the big stick. Yeah!
All right, that's it from us. So hey, have a good time, and we'll see you next time.
Play some games and have